Good morning, I'm Wayworn Worm, and welcome to my channel, and welcome back to the D&December art prompts. Now, originally the plan was to do week 3, which is Realms and Planes. However, I'm not really feeling that week. So, since it is the 27th and we are definitely in the week 4 of this month, I'm just going to do week 4 instead, and then I'll do something else later. So week 4 is magic items and enchantment. And if I did a better Yuri Lowenthal impression, I would definitely do Sandal's enchantment from Dragon Age, because that character is awesome. Anyway, so the first prompt is a magic weapon. I've got to say, my favorite magic weapon is Black Razor. In 5th edition, it is a +3 greatsword, and if you kill someone with it, their soul is destroyed. So there's no raise dead, resurrection, anything like that. And you get temporary hit points equal to their max health for 24 hours or until you put the sword away. And on top of that, you can detect all living creatures within, I think it's 30 feet. It's wonderful. The problem is it has a neutral evil, I think, sentience, that is a complete nihilist, and will get pissed off if you don't kill someone every day. And it's this really wonderful sword. It played a big part in the campaign I'm doing, because I gave it to the paladin when she was level 3. She was a chaotic good Oath of Vengeance paladin, and this sword gave her everything she wanted. And the whole thing was, but at what cost? And that character ended up dying due to unrelated things. She repented, and essentially, right after she had repented, she died. It was wonderful. In a story sort of way, it was a really powerful story. The second one, Mimic/Trap. I've never actually come across a Mimic, so I don't actually know how they work. Like, I know the whole point behind behind mimics and everything, but I've never actually used one. I've never played in a game where one was used. But my favorite trap is one that Mike Merles is very excited about in Xanathar's Guide to Everything. And it is a trap where the party enters a downward sloping corridor to get to the tomb and the treasure that they're going for. And once they get to it, it's at the bottom of this sloping corridor, and basically you get to the end and the door is directly off to your right or left. It really doesn't matter which. And then as soon as you open it and walk inside, portals open up at the top and bottom of the stair, or of the slope, and a giant boulder that is 10 foot in diameter, and it's a 10-foot wide hallway, rolls down. It gets teleported in by the top portal and rolls to the bottom, and once it gets to the bottom, it gets teleported back up to the top, and it starts rolling faster and faster. And even if you manage to stop it, well, now you have to figure out how to get to the other side of the boulder that takes up the entire hallway. And if you stop it at the bottom, it's blocking the door to the room that you're in. And it's pretty awesome. So moving on to number 3, arcane casting. I've got to say, of all of the spells, my absolute favorite is actually Sticks to Snakes. For 2 reasons. Number 1, Sticks to Snakes is immediately useful. Number 1, you immediately know what it does. It's also, you can easily think of dozens of situations where that spell could be useful, and it is ridiculous. It is one of the most ridiculous spells out there. It's just this old aesthetic that D&D has mostly lost. And it's great. I really wish it was in 5th edition D&D, because it's crazy and wonderful. And then trinkets and treasures. I'm not really a fan of giving out anything other than magic items or piles of money. Because sure, I can put in a lot of effort and make all of these pretty art objects, or these gems or whatever, but at the end of the day, what my players want to know is, how much can I sell this for? And if you're doing a game where you're keeping track of encumbrance, what they want to know is, okay, how much does this weigh? How many coins weigh the same as this thing? And is it worth more coins than its weight in coins? And if the answer is no, they'll leave it there. If the answer is yes, they'll go and they'll sell it. And why take that extra step? Why not just give them, instead of giving them an art object that's worth 50 gold, why not just give them 50 gold? Which is disappointing. I don't want that to be true, but it is. And when I'm a player, I do basically the same thing. I think, ooh, this is a cool thing, I'm going to sell it. That's another holdover back from when the main goal in D&D was to get a stronghold and become a ruler and blah, 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 blah. Number 5, Power of the Divine. My favorite divine spell is probably Revivify. Because it's this really low level. It only works for a minute. Although, Gentle Repose might work with Revivify. So as long as you cast Gentle Repose within the first minute. Maybe. I'd have to check the wording on that. I don't have my books with me. That's an interesting idea. But yeah, Revivify is just this really low-level spell that is useful a lot more often than your cleric will generally prepare it. Especially if you run the type of games I run. I love getting my players close to death. Don't particularly like killing them, but sometimes it happens. Forbidden Knowledge. I don't really include forbidden knowledge in any of my D&D games, and I don't know other people who do. That's generally not the type of game that we're playing if we're playing D&D. If we're playing a game that requires forbidden knowledge, we'll probably be playing either a White Wolf game or Call of Cthulhu. Just because that fits better. I mean, you could play a D&D game with forbidden knowledge. Like, there are rules for that, but it's generally not the aesthetic. And then my favorite spell / item, I don't know. I'm kind of a fan of the Wand of Smiles and the Wand of Scowling. They're two wands. One of them, you have to make I think it's charisma check of like 10. If you fail it, you're forced to smile. And the other one is, the Wand of Scowling, same thing, except instead of smiling, you scowl. And when you run out of charges, you roll a d20, and if you roll a 1, instead of it being destroyed, a Wand of Smiles becomes a Wand of Scowling, and a Wand of Scowling becomes a Wand of Smiles. And so they're really fun little knickknacks. In fact, most of the new common magic items that are in Xanathar's Guide, they just tickle my fancy. And that's the whole reason why Chris Perkins came up with them, is they're just fun little things. One is like a tunic of mending. So it's a shirt that if it gets dirty, or if it gets torn, it will fix itself. That's awesome. Okay, so that's everything. I could probably keep going on forever, but I have breakfast waiting, so I'm going to go eat that, and tune in probably in the next day or two, and I'll have something. I'm working on a couple of things, so we'll see how they go.